So, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Casey Devine. I'm a senior advisor with Drexel Global. I advise Drexel students who study abroad in a couple countries, mainly in Western Europe. So that includes Ireland, Scotland, France, Belgium, Switzerland. I also advise for the Middle East, and I oversee our incoming exchange program. So today I'm going to be talking about studying abroad, specifically opportunities for students within your college. And first, I just want to go over some of the benefits of studying abroad. So one, a lot of college students end up reporting that their number one regret after graduation is not having studying abroad. It's a really unique opportunity, one that only comes along while you're a college student. You'll see when you graduate, there are not as many opportunities to go live somewhere overseas and fully integrate yourself in a culture like that. And you're also able to take classes and learn about a higher ed system from a more global perspective. So this really is the time to do it and take advantage of this opportunity. I still talk about my study abroad experience, which was almost 10 years ago, and everyone in my office does the same. But I can attest that it really is a life-changing opportunity and experience. So when you study abroad, you are really able to expand your worldview in many new ways, aside from how you've already expanded your worldview from studying at Drexel and transitioning from high school to college. So for one, you get a better understanding of cultural and historical influences, and how those influences really affect human behavior. So you'll notice no matter where you go, you'll experience some form of culture shock, and you'll be able to see how that country or that culture's history and politics and norms really influence how people behave day to day. You might pick up on some of those habits. You might be able to really note how different they are from what you're used to. But that is a really great way to expand your worldview, and expand your empathy as well with diversifying, the kinds of people that you meet and engage with. Studying abroad also really enhances your communication skills. So this can be true if you're studying abroad in a country where English is not the primary language spoken. But it could also mean, if you're somewhere where English is spoken, if there are cultural differences you encounter, you do have to build up those communication skills to be able to navigate them. And these are the kinds of skills that you can use when you return to the United States. You can use them in an academic setting, but also in a professional setting, and just when navigating your own social life. You also become aware of the cultural context of your own behavior. So you might become a lot more aware of why you are the way that you are, when you look at that through a more comparative lens. And you develop a lot of cultural sensitivity and appreciation, and building those cross-cultural skills is super important no matter what career you might consider pursuing or what you're studying in school. It's very important to have that level of sensitivity. Studying abroad is also very beneficial for your professional goals, which I know I briefly alluded to. So studying abroad is a really great way to stand out from a crowd when you are applying for jobs. That could be for co-op or for post-graduation opportunities. Studying abroad shows that you embody certain traits that employers are looking for. That includes those cross-cultural communication skills I mentioned. It also shows that you're independent, you're resourceful, you're able to navigate things on your own or navigate difficult challenges when they're presented to you, and shows that you value different points of view. And those skills will really help you in a professional setting when working in teams, and also when working on things on your own. So a couple of facts about studying abroad, to make sure that we ensure that you don't have misconceptions about it, because sometimes people might assume certain things about study abroad requirements and think it might not be the right fit for them. But we always like to dispel those misunderstandings. So one is that students often think that studying abroad is only for students in certain majors. So global studies is a great example of a major that studying abroad is essentially a requirement if students are interested. But no matter what their academic schedule will allow them to do at least one study abroad opportunity. But if you're a biology student, you might think that studying abroad puts you behind with your plan of study. But that's certainly not the case. We have a lot of exchange-wide agreements with our partner universities abroad, and that means that you can take classes across academic disciplines. You might want to take classes specific to your major, but you can also take electives while you're abroad. So if you have to take a sociology course, there are many opportunities and options for that. So we always like to emphasize that any major at Drexel can study abroad. It's just a matter of making sure that you select the right term and the right program for you. This goes into the second misconception, in that studying abroad will delay your graduation date. That is also certainly not true. Students that do Drexel programs receive Drexel credit for the courses they take abroad. So you won't be, pushed behind if you spend a term in Belgium or in South Korea. You'll still take classes that count towards your degree. Again, they could count towards your major. You could take electives, but we will plan accordingly with you and your academic advisor to make sure that you're still on track to graduate on time, and that studying abroad fits into that plan of study. Students also tend to think that it's important to know a foreign language before studying abroad. If you are minoring in a foreign language, or if you're interested in improving your language skills, studying abroad is a really great way to improve those skills, because you fully integrate into a place where that language is fluently spoken. That, harks back to my experience. I was a French major and I studied abroad in France. I also taught there for a little bit after I graduated from college, and through living there and just engaging with locals, talking to professors and local students, I was really able to improve my speaking skills, which I did not feel as confident in before actually studying there, because I was a lot more used to learning French in a classroom of native English speakers. So certainly a great thing to do if you want to improve those foreign language skills, but it is not a requirement. English is widely spoken at higher ed institutions across the world. So that includes universities in France, that could include universities in South Korea and Hong Kong. You'll find that a lot of courses are available and taught in English. And even when you're traveling, you do have the advantage of being able to navigate around cities, knowing English, because it really is very widely spoken. Students are also concerned about the financial burden associated with studying abroad. And while we recognize that it might add on additional costs, such as traveling or flights, there is a way to study abroad and make that term actually cost less than it would if you were living in Philadelphia. So if you do any Drexel program, your tuition and your financial aid package will remain the same. We also have scholarship opportunities through our office. There are scholarships offered through organizations outside of Drexel, so students can find ways to get additional funding for their experiences. But in many cases, students end up studying abroad in cities that are less expensive than Philadelphia and end up saving money while they're overseas. So we have a couple of different kinds of programs offered through Drexel. One is exchange programs. So our exchange programs are when you enroll as a student directly at a university abroad. So you would be taking classes alongside local students and other incoming international students. Usually exchange programs offer more course offerings because you have access to a full course catalog. So if you need to take a lot of different classes while you're abroad, or you need that extra flexibility, an exchange program might be the right fit for you. Exchange programs do also require a bit more of a level of independence, because you are directly enrolling at a university abroad alongside many other students. So if you're looking for an experience to fully throw yourself into and really become a part of that campus life, an exchange program is a really good option. We also have freestanding programs. So these are programs offered through study abroad providers. So they're a bit more structured in that you usually go with a cohort of Drexel students and students from other American universities. So these kinds of programs are more so catered towards an American audience. but still have a lot of value to them. If you're looking for a little bit more on the ground support, freestanding programs are a good option for you. You usually have a list of pre-approved Drexel courses to choose from with a freestanding program. So if you find that you're overwhelmed with the amount of course options that an exchange program offers, then freestanding might be a better fit. The last kind of program that we offer are intensive courses abroad, or ICAs. These are faculty-led programs that happen in between terms at Drexel. They're 7 to 10 days, and then you take a course associated with that trip that you take that is taught by the faculty that leads the trip. ICAs are fantastic for many reasons. One, if you don't feel like you can commit to a full term abroad, this is a great way to still have international experience. Two is that you can do multiple ICAs. You can do a full term program and an ICA. So they really do take into account students might not having as much flexibility as others. So I would highly, highly recommend looking into ICAs, at least doing one if you can. Because these are really great ways too to build great relationships with faculty, as well as students from different majors that you might not have had the opportunity to meet before. So this again outlines what I went over in terms of freestanding, exchange, and ICA programs. So with freestanding, you'll receive still Drexel credit and grades for your courses. So that means that you'll receive letter grades. So your GPA will be impacted from your study abroad courses through that kind of program. I will also add that freestanding programs are normally offered in the summer term. So if you are looking to study abroad in the summer, you would likely be doing a freestanding program. And they do include a program fee. So for whatever term you go abroad, if you are doing a freestanding program, you would pay your Drexel tuition, and then you would also be billed a program fee in addition to that tuition. That fee does usually include housing. With an exchange program, you would receive credit or no credit for your courses. So your GPA will not be impacted from participating in an exchange program. You just have to receive a passing grade to receive credit for those courses. Exchange programs do not have program fees. So if you do end up living on campus with an exchange program, you would pay housing to that university. Otherwise, students can live off campus or with host families. So the way they pay for housing just depends on where they are. ICAs, to add on to that, for costs, they do have a program fee. That fee will cover housing, any excursions you take. Sometimes the program fee also includes certain meals, and you pay that before you participate in the program. So with the cost of Drexel study abroad programs, like I said, you will pay your regular Drexel tuition. You'll keep all your financial aid. Freestanding and ICAs, you do pay a program fee. And then I also wanted to highlight a couple scholarships that are available through our office. So our office has a diversity scholarship and a financial needs scholarship. You can apply to either of those for full-term programs or for ICAs. We also have the McNeil scholarship, and the cost that it gives to students has actually gone up a bit. So you can actually earn up to $35,000 to study abroad at the University of Aberdeen in Scotland. That would be for a full academic year. I advise for that program, and I'm very passionate about this scholarship because you receive a lot of funding for studying abroad somewhere where the cost of living is not as expensive as Philadelphia. So it's a really great opportunity to fully immerse yourself at a very historic Scottish university and also receive this incredibly generous funding. As I also mentioned, the local cost of living, depending on where you are, could be significantly lower than it is in Philadelphia. So there are ways to budget accordingly and navigate, funding for studying abroad, making sure that it is still financially feasible. So in terms of when students study abroad, the best years to go would typically be sophomore, junior, or pre-junior year if you're a 5-year student. Exchange programs typically work the best for the fall term because we are on a quarter calendar and a lot of our partners are on a semester calendar. The fall quarter does line up pretty well with the fall semester. The fall and summer in general have the most program options. Again, if you want to do a freestanding program, summer might be a good option for you. We do have winter and spring programs. Some of them do fit into the quarter, but others would require you to start your co-op late or finish your co-op early, but it is possible to do those as well. So on this slide, I have a list of programs that are exchange programs that have been relatively popular with COAS students and that have worked with students' plans of study. So we have a handful in Australia. Those, of course, don't have a language prerequisite. We have a program in Chile that has a Spanish prereq, Spanish 310, because a lot of those courses are taught in Spanish. I won't go through every single one, but one that I also advise for is in France with Sciences Po. So if you are interested in history, global studies, political science, Sciences Po is a really cool program because they have 5 different campuses around France. And each campus has a different regional area of study focus. So for instance, there's one campus in the south of France that focuses on Middle Eastern studies. So if that's something you're interested in, that could be a great option. This program does have a French 310 prerequisite, but they do offer a handful of courses in English as well. One other to highlight would be SNU in South Korea. This program does have a Korean 101 prerequisite, but many classes offered in English, and that is a really highly ranked university. But we do send a lot of students there. It's become a really popular program in recent years. And this is a program offered in the fall and the spring. And the spring option does actually fit pretty well into Drexel's quarter calendar. So listed here are a handful of freestanding programs that have also worked quite well for COAS students. One of our most popular ones is FIE London. So this is a program available in the fall, winter, and summer terms. We have a 5-week summer option as well if you just want to do the session 1 program with FIE. They have courses in the humanities, social sciences. They also have business courses if you have a business minor. FIE runs like a very well-oiled machine. We've been a partner with them for a very long time. Housing's guaranteed. You live with usually 2 to 4 roommates. They're located in a really fantastic area of London. So if London's somewhere you're interested in going, this is a really perfect option. In the summer, we also have dual city programs. The ones that are in blue are ones that have been more so typically popular among COAS students, but these other ones could be possible if you're interested in taking courses outside of the humanities. So Madrid and London has been a really fantastic option because they do offer Spanish language courses, but they also have English courses. For any dual city program, I should add, you spend the first half of the program in one of the first cities listed here, and then the second half of the program is spent in London. So you'll be there for a full 10 weeks. You really get to know a bunch of different places through this kind of option. And you would receive Drexel credit and letter grades for your courses taken through any of these programs. AUR, that's the American University of Rome. That's a fall freestanding program. We've seen a big uptick in student interest in studying abroad in Italy in recent years, and this program does not have any language prerequisite. We do also have a program in Costa Rica with a provider called ICDS. That program is offered every term. They do have different academic tracks depending on what term you go during. So in the winter, there is a healthcare option, but they do also have a lot of like development studies options as well. But the winter is a really popular time to go because you get to escape the winters of Philadelphia. So if winter term is one that works for you and you have an interest in Spanish language, this could be a good option. I did also want to list some programs that do not have any language requirements and that are open to all majors. So I don't want to, go through every single program in detail, but trying to highlight ones that I haven't gone over yet. We do have a program in Belgium with the Brussels School of Governance. This could be a good fit if you have interest in international relations and politics, because there is an optional internship component with this course or with this program. So Brussels is where the EU is headquartered. So many of those internships have some sort of involvement with the EU. So that's a really good opportunity as well to get a bit more professional experience. But you do get course credit for the internship. Aberdeen is one that I'd like to highlight again. That's the university that you can study at and be considered for the McNeil Scholarship, which is the $35,000 scholarship to study at Aberdeen for a full academic year. I will share after I stop sharing my screen. I'm also hosting an info session about that scholarship on Monday of next week. So I'll be sure to share info about that, as well as my contact info if you're interested in applying for next year. The deadline is January 15th. Two others to highlight that are new programs that we are offering as of this winter are in New Zealand. So we have our first cohort of students going on these programs for the winter. Those are exchange programs. They offer courses across academic disciplines. So New Zealand is a really exciting new location. Very far from the United States, and studying abroad there is a really cool thing because you get to travel super far to really settle into there, and also travel to Australia and Southeast Asia as well. It's pretty accessible from there. So these are more programs with language requirements. So as I mentioned earlier, if you are looking to improve your language skills, we do have a couple of language intensive options. So one to highlight, or a couple, I guess, through a provider called CIEE. We have one in Rennes, France. So if you are a French minor, this is a really great option. You can take language courses, but also just content courses that are taught in French, but could focus on history or sociology, business. They have a lot of different options. We do also have a program in Amman, Jordan, that is an Arabic language intensive program. You can live with the host family through this program and has a super intensive language requirement. Students are encouraged to speak Arabic throughout the duration of the program. And this one is offered in the fall and winter. We do have another new partner with the International Christian University that is in Tokyo, Japan. It does have a Japanese 101 requirement, but they have a course catalog that really focuses on arts and sciences. So this is a program that is really good for COAS students, and also one of the few Japanese programs that has that language prerequisite, but has many courses that are taught in English. I also wanted to highlight a couple of previous ICAs that have been held that COAS students have participated in, as well as upcoming ICAs for the remainder of the academic year. So to highlight a couple per term, the program in Ecuador, this focuses on tropical field studies. So this has been a really popular option with environmental science students. We've also had programs in Denmark and Sweden and Norway, either focusing on public health or the criminal justice system. So if you want to go further up north in the Scandinavian region, those are great programs. We also have a program in Greece that focuses on Cretan civilization. So that's studying like Mediterranean studies. This is a program that has been offered very consistently pretty much every spring term, and one that has become increasingly popular. The deadline for our spring ICAs is November 15th, so less than a week away. But if you are interested, you can certainly still apply. But we do have summer ICAs as well. So one to highlight, I guess, would be the global television industry one in the UK. That one goes to London. But the Edinburgh Fringe Festival one in Scotland has also been offered pretty consistently per year. I do see I have a message about ICAs that I can answer now. The question is, do ICA options tend to change year to year, or do they stay the same? That's a great question. So some are consistently offered every year. Other times, we do have new ones that we offer. It really just depends on the faculty that lead the ICAs. Some see consistency in how many students are interested in those programs, like the program in Greece. So that's an instance where we would offer it pretty consistently as long as the faculty is willing to. But there are others that are more one-offs. So it just depends on the program. I can show, or I can link after this presentation, where our ICA website page lives, so that you can check up on it, seeing what programs are offered every year, and make sure you're up to date with that. We do also have the option of students doing what's called an independent study abroad program. So if there's a location that you want to go to and we don't have a partnership with the university there, you can also do an independent study abroad program. We have a page on our website that recommends certain study abroad programs, ones that our students have done, or ones that are run by reputable providers. So this could also be an option if it turns out that there's a location that you really want to go to that we just don't have a partnership with the university in. Independent programs are slightly different than Drexel programs in a few ways. So one is that your financial aid may not apply for that term that you go abroad for. And that's because you do not pay Drexel tuition for that term, since you're doing a non-Drexel program. You will also receive transfer credit for courses taken through an independent program. So outlined here are your next steps for where to start. Our website is a really great resource to research different program options. You can look at our program brochures. I can do a little walkthrough of what those brochures look like, so you know what to look for. See if you want to do a program with a language prerequisite, and if you do, make sure you plan ahead to meet those prereqs before you apply. And it's never too early to talk to your academic advisor about your plans to study abroad, because they can help you map out your plan of study. They can help you narrow down which term would work best for you. And then you know when to come to us about opening your application. So normally we open applications for students about a year before they go abroad. So if you were interested in studying abroad for fall 2024, you should come to us soon so that we can get your app open for you. The deadline for fall programs is usually around March. But again, planning out about a year ahead is a good rule of thumb. We do also ask that students attend a Study Abroad 101. So those are info sessions that are hosted by our Study Abroad ambassadors. They go into a little bit more detail about our kinds of programs offered, scholarship, what goes into the application. With you attending this session, though, we can certainly count this as attending a Study Abroad 101. So when you email us, and I'll put in our email in the chat after I stop sharing my screen, you can shoot us an email and say that you attended an info session and that you're ready to meet with an advisor. So every education abroad advisor manages programs based on where those programs are located. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this program, if you, for instance, wanted to do one of our exchange programs in Switzerland, I would be your advisor. But you know, if you come to us and you have a couple different options in mind, you can meet with one of our advisors first, and then if you decide to apply to a program that they don't advise for, we'll just make sure to notify that advisor and you'll work with them throughout your application process. For our study abroad applications, we have a couple different required components. So one is an academic planning form that you fill out with the help of your academic advisor. That's where you plan out the courses that you intend to take while you're abroad. There are 2 recommendations. There are 3 essay prompts. And then for our full term program, so that would be exchange and freestanding, there's a $50 application fee, and ICAs have a $25 application fee. So these are our upcoming deadlines. So if you're interested in studying abroad in either summer 2024 or fall 2024, I would recommend coming to us soon if you haven't already about meeting with an advisor. Otherwise, the winter and spring deadlines are in August and September. Certain programs do have earlier deadlines though, so it's important to make sure that if you know where you want to apply, that you check when that deadline is, because it might be slightly earlier than the other programs. The ICA deadlines do typically vary per program because some of those deadlines end up being extended. But as I mentioned, the standard deadline for our spring programs is November 15th. And then on this slide is our contact info. So I have our website linked as well as our general email, which right now I'll type into the chat so that you have it. So this email is who you can reach out to once you're ready to schedule an appointment with an advisor, or if you just have any general questions that you'd like answered. So that's all I have for our slideshow. Before I give everyone the chance to ask any questions you have, I do want to run through a couple things on our website that might be helpful for you to see. So one is our search by location function. This is where I always direct students if they say they want to study abroad, but they don't know where they are interested in going, because you're able to visualize where we have programs offered. So if you went to the Ireland page, you'll see our list of available programs in Ireland. And let's say you're interested in our Dublin, London dual city option. You can click learn more about this program and that will take you to the program brochure. On the brochure is everything you need to know off the bat about the program. So that includes an overview of it, the locations, as well as eligibility, academics and program calendar. This is where you can see the courses that are offered through this program and when the program usually runs. You can also learn more about housing and visa. This information varies per program, so it's important to look at each brochure to familiarize yourself with it. You'll also see more about costs and financial aid and an outline of the application process. Another page to show is our intensive courses abroad site. So I'll link that as well in the chat. So that's where you'll see the list of programs that we offer every year. It does update as soon as we know which programs will be offered for each term. So that's where you can get a sense of what you could apply for that academic year. The program brochures for our ICAs look slightly different. I'll go to our Cretan Civilizations one as an example. So you still get all the info you need to know, like eligibility, GPA requirement. You'll see in the program overview and academics what course you'd be registered with for if you do participate in this program. There's also usually a pretty detailed itinerary on these brochures, so you can really get a sense of where you would be going, what date, when you arrive, all of that. Program fee, the cost of the program is also broken down here, and then the dates and deadlines. I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that I can see the chat. Does anybody have any questions they want to shout out? If you do not, you're welcome to sign off. Or if you want to stick around and ask any questions, you're welcome to. If you do sign off, I just want to thank you for attending. We appreciate you taking the time to learn more about study abroad and hope to work with you soon. I'll stop the recording in case anyone wants to ask any questions live.